All right, here we go. Hey, what's going on, my bariatric family? Welcome to another episode of Bariatric Uncut. And today I have a special guest named Mr. David Wheat. David, it's good to have you on the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, honored to have you on here. So, man, tell us a little bit about yourself and the type of surgery you had and what made you want to have it.
Sure. I'm 38 years old, and I am a clinical social worker. And essentially, I had the gastric bypass, and in November of 2022. And essentially, the reason I wanted to get the surgery was just I had been big my entire life, and I had struggled with weight loss and just maintaining loss and really getting to a point where the loss was meaningful. So my family members had had the surgery, and I went ahead and just talked to my doctor about it, and he said it was a good idea. So he set me up with a weight loss program in my area, and started to do some of that, leg work to get the process done. And really, they had offered like medication and other ways, but just due to family experiences and our genetics, I just decided that the surgery was probably the best option for me. And my dad actually had the gastric sleeve, the gastrectomy, instead of having gastric bypass. And
Yeah.
he had had some complications due to our genetics. I decided to go ahead and have the gastric bypass instead of the sleeve gastrectomy, just to kind of avoid some of those, genetic issues that would have caused some problems, further down the line.
Right. Okay, so when they was offering you the medicine, was it some medicine to help you lose the weight for the weight loss surgery?
Yeah, so there was a few medication options that were available, such as Ozempic,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Monjaro, things like that. And, those were options, and I didn't really kind of discredit them. I just knew that my dad had lost significant weight. I think he lost 260 pounds with his surgery. So it was something I knew was going to be tried and true for me. So instead of kind of going the route with medication and then, risking weight gain after the medication, after you stop taking the medication, I thought I might as well just go ahead and do the surgery, because the surgery was something permanent that was going to, be with me for the rest of my life. That way, I know going forward, my lifestyle is going to have to change permanently. There's no slip, back slip or anything like that,
Yeah.
kind of to make sure that the, results stick.
Right. What was your highest weight?
So when I started, I actually weighed roughly around 417 pounds. And that was my highest weight. And that was roughly the time where I kind of decided like enough was enough. Um, I really didn't want to be any bigger than that. My goal weight was honestly in the 300s, just because I never really had too much of an issue with what I looked like. But
Yeah.
um, I was tired all the time. I had some vitamin deficiencies going on. Not that that's linked, but, just other complications. So, yeah, it was just something that I uh, just wanted to kind of do and kind of just experiment with, as far as like, how far I could take the weight loss.
Right. So how was your process going into it and afterwards? Your as far as your mindset.
Yeah. So going into it is a lot of preparation. I'd say it's mostly mental. There was a lot of, um, I called it breaking up with food. There was a lot of
Yeah.
breaking up with food that I had to do, where essentially, um, it's kind of like my last meal. I went out, I completely just got whatever I wanted, and I was like, this is the last time I'm going to eat this. It may not be the last time I eat that particular food, but that version of that food, right? Because
Yeah.
being bariatric, we can have whatever we want. It's just a matter of making sure that it's, not going to hurt us. And then also is going to be within our macros or whatever, nutritional, boundaries we set for ourselves. So, like, for example, I didn't want to have any more fried foods after surgery. So when I broke up with Fried food is what I did. I went out, I completely ate whatever I wanted, and I was like, this is it. This is going to be the last time I eat this. And honestly, it was pretty good. So that was a good experience, was the breaking up with food. A lot of preparation was with my classes
Yeah.
through my program, learning actually what a nutrition label is, which being 38, you would think like, oh, I know what a nutrition label is. Right. Well, I knew what it was. I didn't understand it. I think
Right.
comprehension was different. So it was something where I had to like fully read the label, but understand it. So that was something I
Yeah.
had to learn. Um, I had to learn what it was to actually be full. You know, I had binge eating disorder, still do, but I had full swing binge eating disorder before my surgery. So it was something that um, I had to really be mindful of in the way of, you know, what's that going to look like for me after surgery? Because being able to just open a package of something without, you know, fully measuring it out or it being prepackaged was really difficult for me because of binge eating, because I would just eat until I
Yeah.
was full.
Yep.
So knowing myself and knowing my body about like what's wise, because if I have binge eating disorder, it's probably not a good idea to get something like ice cream, just because you
Mhm.
can find healthy ice cream, but there's not pre-packaged like little ice creams that you can really go by, at least not that I found. So something that really helped me was getting a scale, getting a measuring thing, being able to feel, you know, meal prep and things like that. So it was a lot of like just preparation, being able to understand like life is going to be different. What
Yep.
kind of changes am I going to need to make, and just kind of make those changes slowly. You know, I think to like fully shock yourself and to go into, um, you know, the entire situation and try to change everything at once is a little daunting. I think that's why the
Yeah.
program has you like space things out and take so long, because they want you to be prepared and not set yourself up for failure. So a lot of it is just, you know, starting to recognize things. For example, I didn't know that when I'm full, my nose runs.
Oh,
So
really? Yeah.
that was kind of like a body, your body will give you certain signs. Some people, they get congested, some people, you know, they're it's just they feel a different way when they're full, and I had to learn what that was before surgery so I could kind of understand that a little bit after surgery.
Oh, yeah. Because that's one thing that I learned. Our bodies is going to tell us.
Oh yeah.
When we had this surgery, because I had the bypass also,
Yeah.
our stomachs is the real boss.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna tell us when to stop. When they say stop, don't go against it.
Oh yeah, it feels like you get kicked in the chest by a horse if you try to eat too fast or eat too much.
Yeah,
It's outrageous, right?
yeah, because I was just like a couple of weeks ago, I was visiting some family and they had some cornbread dressing. And I explained to them, I really can't eat that much. And
Right.
the guy had said, okay, well, come on over here and show me how much you can have.
Right.
He did 2 tablespoons. I said, stop it right there.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And he was shocked. I said, this is gonna fill me up right here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So and so for us and reiterating on what you were saying earlier, the mental part, that's where a lot of people end up feeling it because when they had this procedure done and they go cold turkey,
Oh yeah.
I've been noticing a lot of them they can't handle it. And that's when the anxiety kicks in there. And with me, I was, being proactive instead of reactive, and I see that, it was the same way. We had got it in our minds that this is how it's going to be
Yeah.
from here on out, going forward. So after you had it, like far as activities and other stuff you was getting into, how was life for you?
The recovery was really hard. I watched TikTok and it was a little jarring because I would see people on TikTok up bouncing around, you know, a day or two after surgery.
Yeah,
I was completely out for like 3 weeks. I just had a lot of pain. It was not a good time. But right around that 3 week period, I think on the day of 3 weeks, I started to feel great. And it's so important to take your vitamins and to make sure you're
Yeah.
trying to get protein in, especially in that beginning phase. So for me, it was very different, and something that I had to learn, because just because you have the surgery, it's like not the easy way out. And I kept trying to like tell myself that, and because other
Yeah.
people are going to tell you that, right? Because they don't
Yeah.
know any better. But
Yep.
you got to tell yourself that, because it's very difficult. It's very difficult to say no, to have willpower. And people are going to keep going out after you have surgery, and you want to go out with them. You want to be social, and
Hmm.
especially when you lose weight, because you're feeling more like able to put yourself out there. But when I go out to eat, I think this is the biggest thing for me. I order something, I make sure it's no bigger than my hand, and I
Yeah.
take the rest. I ask for a to-go box when I order my meal, which it's going to get you some crazy looks by your like
Yep.
waiter. But honestly, I put the food out of my face. I get it away from me so I can't, graze on it and stuff like that. So like as part of social aspects and going out to eat and being social with
Yeah.
friends, like that's what I did to like stop myself from overeating in public. But as far as like preparation after surgery, um, food wise, um, it's an unpopular opinion sometimes, but I do a lot of prepackaged food, like protein bars, um,
Hmm.
chips for snacks. And the chips that I get are like the Atkins, the Legendary, the Quest, whatever
Yeah.
I'm feeling at the time. But like, I do a lot of that. And I know it has a lot of like seed oils and stuff like that. But having binge eating disorder, I like fear opening something that doesn't have a prepackaged amount. And I can like weigh it, but um, it's always that like that thing in the back of your mind that's like, man, if I overeat, what's it going to be like? So I always try to do prepackaged stuff, and if I home make meals, which 3 of my meals every day are homemade, I do weigh them out, and I do get the macros for them, and I make sure that I'm tracking my macros. Some
Yeah.
people don't, which is perfectly fine. For me, like right now, I weigh 153 pounds, and
Yeah.
that's I don't want to go any lower than that. So for me, I wanted to make sure that I'm still following a good dietary plan, and I make sure that that's okay with my dietitian and my nutritionist at my program,
Yeah.
and they always send me like a thumbs up or a thumbs down on items that I pick out. So for me, if I'm not sure, I always check in with people who got the letters behind their name, because they're obviously going to be smarter than I am about what what I should and
Yeah.
shouldn't be eating. But it's all about balance. I think with losing weight, you're always fearful about weight regain. It's always something that's going to be on the
Hmm.
forefront of your mind. Taking care of yourself mentally is something I kind of had to like really worry about,
Yeah.
um, because losing weight so rapidly, because I've lost 270 pounds in the last year and 7 months. So for me, um, it was very difficult to like look at myself in the mirror. And then 3 months ago, I had skin removal surgery also, which was the 360 belt lipectomy, which is basically a lower body lift, to remove all the extra skin, because there was a substantial amount of extra skin.
Okay.
So it's just something that you really prepare for. It's something that you kind of talk to yourself about, and you're like, how far do I want to take this? What do I want to look like? And just kind of take steps to know that transfer addiction's real. That's why they tell you not to drink
Yeah.
alcohol after your surgery, or do drugs or whatever, just because like you're going to be more susceptible to being addicted to something.
Yeah.
Mine was online shopping, because buying clothes and stuff like that is very exciting when you lose weight. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just about taking care of yourself and being really mindful, because the things that are coming are going to be new feelings, especially if you've been big your whole life. And
Yep.
that was something where I was like, man, this might be a problem, might need to watch out for this. And then I had a good support network of people who were like constantly watching, and making sure like I was okay. Not
Yeah.
just not just me watching myself, but I had other people watching me too.
Yeah. And that goes a long way too, just having a good support system.
Yeah,
Have you ever dealt with body dysmorphia?
all the time, even now. It's something, you know, man. I'll walk past a mirror or a glass in public and just look and I don't even recognize myself.
Yep.
And it's just, sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes I'll look and I'll smile and I'll be like, wow, that's me. And then other times you're just kind of like put off by it, like, you're confused, or you'll even find new things to nitpick. It's difficult, and it's never something that anybody can prepare you for, because no
Right.
matter what type of like therapist or whatever that you have, it's a new feeling, new body, and it's going to be something where you're just going to have to get used to it. um, I went and spoke to somebody because the extra skin that I had before my skin removal
Yeah.
really bothered me. I had feelings like, why did I even bother to lose weight? It just looks worse than it did before because it's not filled out. Like
Yeah.
you know, I was afraid I looked older, not so much in my face, but like definitely in like my lower, area, like my chest, my stomach. Like
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't look great. And, to go through a change is one thing for health, but the other, you want to feel good about yourself. You want,
Yeah.
not that being bigger doesn't equate to feeling good, but for me anyway, I wanted us to look a certain way, so I wasn't feeling good. So it's just all about making sure that you're talking to the right people. I contacted my weight loss program and I was like, hey, I'm having some of these feelings. Is there anything I can do? Um, my program wanted me to do group therapy, and for me, that's a hard pass, just because um, I, at that time, was not ready to really speak to anybody about what I was going through, at least not
Mm-hmm.
in a public setting, um, like group therapy. So they ended up just doing a private session for me through my PCP, my normal
Yeah.
doctor's office. And I think one or two visits was enough. And they gave me kind of some coping skills to deal with the body dysmorphia. And then,
Yeah.
kind of sorted itself out.
Yeah. That's the same with me because every once in a while I'll walk across that mirror and I would see sometimes I would still see that same big guy,
Yeah.
because we was at the same height there because I was around 415.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I had my surgery, I was around 380. And I know I'm slimming down, but every once in a while I look in the mirror, I'm like, wait a minute, it looks like my stomach done got a little bigger. But then when I go to the store, I'm down to a 38 to a 40. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, so that dysmorphia, it is really, and at the end of the day, it's mind over matter.
It is.
Like you
And
say, it's go ahead.
I was just going to say the scale lies, and because sometimes you'll stall, right, and
Yeah,
you'll stay the same weight, and it's so tricky. But then go to the store, try on a new pair of pants, you'll be down a size, and I think that's the
yeah,
coolest thing. The scale won't be great. That's why they tell you never to like really like weigh yourself every day. I can't do that.
yeah,
I weigh myself every single morning because you know just I'm afraid of that, the regain. But
yeah,
um, I'll just say, like, it becomes this thing where the scale will lie because your body's going through so many changes after surgery, and there's so much going on internally that like your body's going to stay the same weight for a week because
yeah,
it's altering. I lost a lot of muscle mass because it's just how it is,
yeah.
and it's not a bad thing. It was just a fact. So when I
Right.
lost a lot of muscle, I ended up losing a lot more weight. But then as I exercised more or got out of the house more, I ended up regaining some of the muscle. So I wasn't losing weight as fast. So those things are all good things. It's just not going to show on a scale.
Yeah. So look, tell me this. When you had your blood work done, did you have any vitamin D deficiency?
I did. So before surgery, I had vitamin D deficiency. I also was poor on my LDL and HDL, which is the cholesterols.
Yeah,
Um, and then they started me on pre-surgery vitamins to try to help take care of that vitamin D deficiency. Um, and then slowly, right after surgery, when right around the time I stopped taking my omeprazole, which is the Prilosec, or the acid reflux medication,
uh-huh.
they did blood work again, and it showed I was getting outside more, and with the vitamins that I was taking in addition, it actually got rid of my vitamin deficiency for vitamin D, which was nice.
Okay. Yeah, because I just found out myself that I had a vitamin D deficiency, and they said this is common with bariatric patients.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
so the medicine that they put me on is 50,000 units. I only
Yep.
have to take it for once a week.
Yep. Which is so nice to be able to take it once a week because you don't have to take it every day. That's something kind of like bariatric patients always, struggle with is taking the pills every single day because it's kind of annoying, but also like you want to feel somewhat normal again. You don't want to have to take pills every day. So
Yeah,
it's something that's definitely a struggle, right?
right. So look, what was the process when you had to start getting your skin removal? Was it an issue with your insurance or
Oh yeah,
what?
insurance would not pay for it at all. So, in order for insurance to pay for any type of plastic surgery, your doctor has to justify a medical need for it. So that's why they want you to, like, they tell you have to have rashes or
Yeah,
some type of uh, some type of issue going on, whether it be under the skin, how much overhang you have with skin, all of these issues. And really, it felt kind of bad because I put in all this work. I lost all this weight. I maintained my weight loss for more than a year and a half, and they just wanted me to have more issues than what I had before surgery in order to take care of it. So after struggling for a good 3 or 4 months, trying to like convince insurance or the doctor to like which the doctors were on board with the skin removal, but they told me straight up that insurance wasn't going to pay for it. So I kind of just bit the bullet on it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start saving. So I contacted my doctor, regular old doctor, and told them what I wanted, and they agreed that plastic was a good idea. So they put in a referral for me to 3 different places because when you do plastics, you have to shop around because you
yeah,
yeah. So I found a place local in my area. The guy had great reviews. That was the first thing I looked up was reviews. Um, Second thing I looked up was pricing in general. So in general, it kind of varied, but typically for the lower body lift, which includes it's a hip lift, it's a butt lift, it's a lower back lift, it's a paniculectomy, which is the tummy tuck. It's
yeah.
also an abdominoplasty. So when you gain a bunch of weight, your abs separate and they grow apart. So the abdominoplasty is where they sew your abs back together. So essentially, it's all of that, all included. It's
Okay.
all in one procedure. So you get kind of a discount for like making sure that you do all of it at the same time because it's much cheaper because you're already there. So essentially, the total price was around 11.5 for my procedure, and then they only required, in order for me to schedule and have a date for my surgery, they only required me to pay half. So
Okay.
I did my saving, I did my penny pinching. Um, I already had some saved up because I kind of already knew this was coming. Um, I went ahead and paid for half of it, got my surgery date, and then made sure the rest was paid off by the surgery date. So the only thing that they required before that was just to make sure that I stayed around the same weight, just because if I had lost weight and then regained, like they didn't want me to be in pain after the surgery. So don't change anything. Um, so that was basically it. Before the surgery, there was like a laundry list of like cleaning stuff I had to do.
Yeah,
Afterwards, they require you to sleep in like it's like a recliner, but I don't have a recliner, so I had to buy
yeah,
these foam inserts for my bed to make sure that I like can't lay flat because apparently laying flat will make you like very uncomfortable.
yeah.
Um, So it was very intense. The recovery for that was about 5 weeks, and I needed every day of it because it is like they go all the way around. So
Yeah.
it's quite a invasive surgery in that way, but I'm extremely happy with the results. The surgeon did an excellent job. Um, I have a completely flat stomach, which I've never had my entire life, so it was quite an experience to be able to like, look down and see that. Also, a lot of body dysmorphia comes with that as well, because again, you kind of feel like you're in an alien body for a little while.
Yeah, yeah, because I was looking into the skin removal my own self, and I just started having some issues with my insurance, and because the thing is with my insurance, they just covered bariatric surgeries because at first they wasn't doing that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so then they came along and they covered it, and now I'm trying to see about them doing the skin removal, and so I was thinking the same thing what you're doing right now. Just go ahead and save up.
Yep. And that's
Yeah,
honestly like finding a plastic surgeon that's willing to work with you in your area. Like that's the biggest thing. I was able to tell the plastic surgeon, hey, you know, feel free to use my pictures or anything that you like, in the
yeah,
way of, building. Sometimes they have like booklets where they show before and afters.
yeah,
I was like, I don't mind if you keep those pictures. I don't mind if you do this, that, or the other. I was just trying to very, very cordially show them that, like, I really want the surgery. It's about my body. I just want to feel good about myself. So it was very good. The plastic surgeon was wonderful. Um, I only met him like once or twice before the
yeah.
surgery, so typically I dealt with his like assistants, and they were awesome.
Okay. Yeah. So, what? How your relationships been?
Good. So I've been married for 14 years, so the relationship really hasn't like changed all too much. Um, it's just something that has continued, but I would say it's been very beneficial. I know it's very common for bariatric folks to get like um, divorced after the surgery.
Yeah,
Um, my spouse kind of embraced the new lifestyle. Now, my spouse didn't change anything that they were eating. They didn't change how they were doing any of that, because again, I'm not about making my spouse do anything they didn't want to do,
yeah,
but I don't eat out as much. In fact, I think I only eat out once every 3 or 4 months. But my spouse, because I'm no longer going out to eat, my spouse stopped going out to eat.
yeah,
So my spouse alone has lost 80 pounds just from not eating out and then eating what I make, because whatever I don't finish, as bariatric patients, we're like the kings of leftovers. We have like kings and queens of leftovers. We have tons of leftovers in the fridge, and
you
I'll
ain't
tell you,
kidding.
just because it's healthier, my spouse has gotten to be in a healthy lifestyle just from eating all my leftovers.
Yeah, yeah, you sure right, man. Because and that comes from going out to them restaurants. Hey, let's pack it up for later. Next thing you know, 2 or 3 days later, man, let me get some. Wait a minute, I had this from the other day.
And it's funny with bariatrics in our stomachs. We'll eat one thing one day, and then the next day be like, I just don't want that. I don't want that at all. So it's just this thing where even if you don't forget about it, you're just like, I don't want that anymore. My stomach's not
Yeah,
feeling that. So it's kind of that thing where, you know,
yeah,
haphazardly, I did effectively change my spouse's, eating habits just because I changed my own.
so look, do you know of any foods that'll give you dumping syndrome? Have you ever experienced that?
So I haven't. I haven't experienced dumping syndrome, and the reason for that is just because I really watch what I eat, and I make sure
Okay.
that whatever I eat doesn't have too much sugar in it. The only thing I can say is right after surgery, the only thing negative that happened, um, I had a sugar-free pudding cup like 4 days after surgery,
Yeah.
and I ate it too fast, and like it got caught, and
Yep.
I ended up getting sick, which right after surgery, oh man, so much pain, right? So
Yep.
not something I ever want to experience again. But yeah, I've been very careful with what I consume. I look at the sugar content first. If I'm not sure of how much sugar in it, I just don't eat it. You know,
Yeah.
I try to carry like alternative stuff with me to make sure that if I can't eat what other people are eating, or just in case I have something emergent that I can like consume. So,
Right.
I'm very careful with that, and I really don't like getting sick. So it's something I've like avoided like the plague, just to make sure that it never happens.
Yeah, because it's like with me, I can't eat boneless chicken breast. That'll get stuck every time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. I can't eat boneless chicken breast. I used to love chicken salad,
Yeah.
but since I had this too, I can't eat chicken salad no more because of the wetness.
Yeah. It took me a long time to be able to eat chicken, which is bizarre. But just like you, it would get stuck like right here. It would get lodged, and then it would make me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
So it's definitely something where you have to wait and see. Right after surgery, I really wanted vegetables, and I was trying to eat broccoli. That was a mistake. Broccoli and carrots right after surgery, uh,
yeah,
just did me in. It was real rough. So there's a lot of foods that were really rough after surgery, but they're fine
yeah.
now. But I'm like a year and 7 months out, so my stomach's pretty much gone back to me being able to eat whatever I want.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, but for the time being, it's still the small amounts like where
Oh
it
yeah,
been eaten all at first, huh?
yeah, and I've started to feel hungrier now, which can also depend on what you're eating. For example, like a lot of seed oils can like really give you that hunger feeling after
Yeah.
you're eating. So if you look at what you're eating and you're starting to see some seed oil in there, the seed oils will make you hungry.
Okay.
Real sugar in your food will like your body will combust that and it will make you hungry later. So it depends on what you're eating. You have to really look at the ingredients and how your body is going to metabolize that, because it may not be that you're hungry because you haven't ate enough. You might be hungry because what you ate is causing you to be hungry later. So
Okay.
it just
No
really
thinking.
depends. There's certain foods, but I've started to really feel the hunger come back, which
Yeah.
I really didn't have up until now. I eat every 2 hours, so every 2 hours, if I haven't eaten, I'll have one of my snacks, or I'll have a protein bar, or I'll have one of my meals.
Yeah.
And I try to stay under. I maintain now, so I'm at like 2,000 calories is where I want to be every day. So I try to make sure that however many meals I plan on being awake for, or however many hours, every 2 hours, I make sure that that number is where I want to hit. So, if I'm going to be awake for 12 hours, that's 6 meals. So that means I take 2,000 divided by 6, and that's how many calories I get per meal or per
Yeah.
snack. Yeah.
Okay. What's your workout regimens like?
I'm lazy, so I hate working out. So I don't. That's
Yeah.
another thing. I know some people, they're able to eat a little bit more because they do work out. Um, I like to go walking. So if I'm outside, I'll like to walk, but I don't like going to the gym. Never been comfortable in a gym just because I feel like I'm always being watched, or like people are staring at me. Even now, like I'd be like a little put off by being in a gym. So it's not for me. And I've done what I've done without going to the gym, which I'm really proud of. So
Yeah.
I don't really feel like you need to. I know the doctors are like, oh, it's good for your heart, which it is. Like, always follow your doctor's orders. But a lot of what exercise I get is just cleaning. I clean the house a lot, and I go outside. I try to go
Yeah.
outside as much as I can. In the winter, I know it's difficult, but I always try to go outside, take a walk for the day. It doesn't have to be a long walk, just a walk, and I like to
Yeah.
look at the scenery. So, you know, it's just something. Whatever's gonna work for you. If not working out works for you, make sure that you're still getting some type of like physical activity in, so your good cholesterol is maintained, but also your heart is being taken care of. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm lazy, and I'm not going to no gym. I like to go swimming. That's probably the only thing I like. I love to go swimming, and I love going on.
Yeah.
So
So was you able to pick up any new hobbies? Anything
um
new that you hadn't did prior to weight loss surgery?
I would say the only thing habit wise is, like I said, with my transfer addiction, I do a lot of like clothes shopping. Of course, I got rid of my wardrobe because I'm not going to fit into it anymore. But but yeah, shopping is like probably the biggest habit, just because I'm so excited about, you know, being where I'm at now, that it's like the first thing I go to is, hey, I want to buy that. Do you have it in a small? And that's
Yep.
like the biggest thing for me. Going from a 4X to a small is just so like polarizing, because you don't think you're going to fit into it, and then you put it on, you're like, oh, this fits. And you know, wearing baggy clothes before, but now I wear tight or form-fitting clothes. Um,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, like really neat.
Now look, I'm gonna tell you a funny thing about me, man. It's always my luck when this happens because you know how it is. Every time you go
Oh yeah.
into the store, you look for that one thing and they have everything but what you're looking for.
Yes. Yeah.
Man, when I got down to a 3X, I'm going to the clothes section, couldn't find no 3X.
Yeah.
Now I'm down. I got down to a 2X. Stuff I was looking for didn't have a 2X. Now I'm down to a 1X. It's either a 2X or a large. No
Yeah.
XL. Yeah, so it's a they have everything but what you be looking for. So that's kind of aggravating. I
Yeah.
mean, eventually I find what I'm looking for, but man, it's like I really got a dig for it.
Exactly. And that's something too, like it also changed where I was able to shop, because before surgery, not every place had a 4X. So I
Yeah,
was only able to shop certain places. Now I feel like I can shop pretty much anywhere I want. Um, Oddly enough, there are certain places I've been to in the past, when I was bigger, that I did notice that people there would not ask me if I needed help looking for anything,
yeah,
but now they do, which I feel like is, it may be the person, it might be location, but I definitely noticed that that was a thing, that people didn't ask me if I need help before surgery, but now they absolutely do ask me if I need help finding anything, which I felt like was, you know, kind of sad, but also
yeah,
felt kind of good, you know.
yeah. And it just goes to show you the psychology of people, man. Just how they look at certain people,
Yeah,
because I get that all the time, my own self. I everything that you saying, I can feel it because I've been through it firsthand myself.
right.
Yeah. So, so anything else that you like to tell our listeners, or
um
any advice you have?
I think the only advice I would have is, if you're looking to get the surgery, or you're looking to go into the weight loss programs, the only thing I'll say is, make sure you're prepared before you do it. You know, I think some
Yeah,
people go into it, they're not prepared, and unless you're absolutely ready for it beyond a shadow of a doubt, don't do it. Do wait until you're ready. Just because it is something so life changing and so
yeah,
abrupt, everything about everything changes. And, you know, it can be so difficult, and without like good support, not to say everybody doesn't, but if you're not 100% ready, or 100% ready to put everything you are into it, you'll be disappointed. And it's
yeah,
something that, being disappointed after going through so much, can just make things so much worse. You know, I
yeah,
see people pretty much regularly, either on social media or on different groups, say that they've regained weight or
yeah,
whatever. And a lot of times I feel like when that happens, it's because they either weren't ready, or they didn't have the right support groups, or they're
yeah,
not taking care of themselves either mentally, or, you know, they're
yeah,
like a combination of the three, right?
yeah, yeah.
But that's the biggest
Because
thing. Make sure you're ready.
yeah, because that's the big thing, man. Because I tell people all the time, even for my own self, I follow my own advice to exhaust all the other options
Oh,
first. Bad back from the table, go to a weight loss center. Do everything because once you go up under that knife, this is the end all to be all.
yep. And there's something that feels bad about needing to, I guess, to get the surgery, and that mental component of, you know, oh, I couldn't do this by myself. But I'll tell you, there's something about just accepting that genetics have a role in this, and
Yeah,
that it some people, my whole family is large. It is every single one of us. So for me, I knew no matter what I eat, no matter how I treat myself, I was always going to be a certain size. And I
Yeah,
wanted to kind of bypass that. And that's why I did the weight loss surgery, because I knew that no matter what I was going to do, genetically, I was always going to be a certain size. So
yeah,
for me, it was just a no-brainer, and for some people, it's not. Some people, it is. So, just make sure you're ready for it. It's like the biggest thing, because there's so much that changes. Your whole life will change, and it's
yeah.
not easy.
Right. And so, and you said that you had a good bit of your family members, they had the surgery also.
Yeah, my aunt actually had it twice. So my aunt got the surgery, um, was unsuccessful, but she had a lot going on. um, divorce, things like that, life changing, moving across the country. There's just a lot that went on there. And so she ended up regaining she ended up weighing more than when she had the surgery. So for her, she had the sleeve gastrectomy the first time. And when she went back,
Hmm.
she had the gastric bypass. And the gastric bypass was, in conjunction with better mental health, et cetera, her lifestyle, is more successful, and she's kept the weight off. My dad was 500 plus pounds. They gave him 6 months to live. They
Yeah,
said, if you don't change the way you eat, you're not going to make it. Um, so my dad had the surgery, changed his lifestyle, lost 260 pounds. He's doing great. So it's something where, you know, the family really just kind of like influenced me that, like, no matter what is going to happen, it's just, there's genetic components, and it's just really important to make sure you watch for those like tell signs that, it's either going to work or it's not going to work.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, anything else you might want to add, man? Or
No, I think that's it.
yeah,
It's a wild ride, I know that.
yeah, it is. It is because I mean, um, I made a year May 23rd, and I'm down 173.
Oh, congratulations, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, and I mean, it's just been a blessing for me, and I'm just so glad I had it. And at first, people was asking me how I lost the weight. First, I was saying, just cutting back and exercise. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna just tell them what I did, and they can accept it or not.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something, I've always been proud of. I don't mind. I've never been embarrassed to tell someone that I had the surgery, just because um, I've been successful with it, and I know how difficult it is. But absolutely, like, there are people out there, I was making videos on TikTok, and there are people out there that will be the first ones to run up and tell you took the easy way out or you're
but
lazy.
yeah,
And they just don't understand, which is fine. Like, it's not for them to understand. If they have that opinion, they're obviously not in the know. So if they don't understand that this is one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my entire life, then it's not for them to really understand.
yeah, because it's nothing easy about getting your stomach cut on. It's
Absolutely
it's
not.
it's nothing easy about this procedure that we going through.
Yep.
Yeah,
And there's nothing easy about every single day battling with counting. And if you don't, there's some people that do intuitive eating. If you're doing intuitive eating, you still have to be mindful about what you're putting in your body. So it's every day, constant, like, decision making skills and being mindful about what you're doing and what you're eating.
yeah,
And if you've got, a previous binge eating disorder, like I had, it's constantly being able to say, this is enough. You're eating 2 hours from now. There's no reason to eat more. So
yeah.
yeah, people that just don't know, they just don't know.
Yeah, and also going back to what you were saying about genetics, you got some people they are genetically fit, no matter how
Yep.
much they eat, they gonna be fit, they're gonna be muscular. And there was a couple of them that I came across a few years back who had those healthy genetics and was passing judgment.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You always see those types of people on social media being the loudest mouthpieces you can see, right?
yeah,
Biggest thing is, don't listen. You've got to listen to your doctors and your team. Don't listen. The people on social media that, those people spouting off about health or nutrition, they've never been
yeah,
big. and you
Right.
can tell they've never been big because of the way they're talking to you.
Yeah.
So even doctors, there are certain doctors that you'll go see and they'll just be like, well, this problem would fix itself if you lost weight. Thanks, Sharon. I really appreciate that. Like
Yeah.
some doctors are just not like, they're not
Yeah.
helpful. And when that happens, find a new doctor. Doctors are supposed to help you. So, you
Yeah.
know,
That's why. Yeah, I'd be the same way. I'm like, yeah, thanks for nothing. Here's your $150.
yeah, yeah. You show up, they tell you stuff you don't want to hear, or the stuff that you didn't even go to, to talk to them about. It's like, man, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's generic and short.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for nothing, man.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. But all right, David, man, it's been great having you on the show, man. And hopefully, we continue on this continued success in our journey, man. And I'll come across you in the group. You come across me.
Yep.
Yeah. And enjoy the rest of your day, man.
All right, same. You too.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.